Welcome to the Riskwiser Zone, the podcast where we dive into the world of stocks and finance to help you make informed decisions about your investments. I'm your host, Lewis, and I'm excited to share today's top stories with you. We're starting off with a big one: the ongoing saga between President Donald Trump and Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell. According to recent reports, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent attempted to dissuade President Trump from firing Powell, citing potential economic, political, and legal consequences. This is not the first time we've seen tension between the president and the Fed chair, with Trump repeatedly criticizing Powell for not cutting interest rates. But what's really at play here? Is this a case of presidential overreach, or is there more to the story? We'll be exploring the implications of this development and what it could mean for the markets. Will the Fed's independence be compromised, and how might that impact investor confidence? To put this into perspective, let's take a look at some other news from around the world. Japan's bond market is flashing red, with the country struggling to maintain control over its financial system. This has significant implications for global investors, particularly those with exposure to Japanese markets. We'll be examining the potential risks and opportunities arising from this situation. It's also worth noting that the traditional 60-40 portfolio, which typically consists of 60% stocks and 40% bonds, may no longer be the safe haven it once was. With bonds introducing new risks and inflation concerns on the rise, investors may need to rethink their strategies. We'll be diving deeper into these topics and more throughout the show. Our goal is to provide you with a balanced and nuanced view of the markets, helping you navigate the complex world of finance. So, stay tuned for more analysis and insights from our team of experts. We'll be right back with more from the world of stocks and finance on the Riskwiser Zone. Welcome back to the Riskwiser Zone. We're halfway through our program today, and we've got a lot more to cover. Let's dive into our middle segment, where we'll be discussing some interesting stories from around the world. First off, let's talk about the latest developments in the tech world. The Pentagon has announced plans to unleash a new era of military dominance with the use of drones. According to reports, the U.S. Department of Defense is investing heavily in the development of advanced drone technology, which could potentially give the country an edge over its adversaries. This move has sparked both excitement and concern among experts, with some hailing it as a game-changer and others warning about the potential risks and unintended consequences. Meanwhile, in the world of finance, Indian companies have reported a slowdown in revenue and profit growth for the first quarter of 2025. Banking and finance companies in particular have been hit hard, with weak numbers amid pressure on net interest margin and lower credit offtake. This has led to concerns about the overall health of the Indian economy, although some analysts are predicting that other sectors such as capital goods, cement, healthcare, oil and gas, and telecom may still drive profit growth. In other news, England's women's football team is making headlines after one of its players, Carter, announced that she would be stepping away from social media due to racist abuse. This incident has sparked a wider conversation about online harassment and the need for greater protection for athletes and public figures. Lastly, let's take a look at some global news. The US and China are engaged in a trade war, with both countries imposing tariffs on each other's goods. This has led to concerns about the impact on global trade and the potential for a wider economic downturn. That's all for this segment of the Riskwiser Zone. We've covered a range of stories from tech and finance to sports and geopolitics. Stay tuned for our final story of the day, right here on the Riskwiser Zone. Welcome back to the Riskwiser Zone. We're glad you're still with us as we dive into our final segment for today. As we've been exploring various risks and trends in the market, I'd like to bring your attention to a couple of stories that caught my eye. Firstly, let's talk about the airline industry's efforts to reduce carbon emissions. Sustainable aviation fuels, electric planes, and more efficient engines are just a few examples of the innovative solutions being developed. However, as we discussed earlier, the transition to sustainable air travel is not without its challenges. The production costs of sustainable aviation fuels are currently higher than traditional fossil fuels, making it difficult for airlines to adopt them on a large scale. On a separate note, I'd like to discuss the recent market trends in the U.S. stock market. The S&P 500 has been experiencing a period of relative calm, with some analysts suggesting that this could be a sign of a broader rally losing steam. While earnings season has been solid so far, the reaction from investors has been muted, which could indicate that much of the good news is already priced into the market. It's essential to consider multiple perspectives when evaluating these trends. On one hand, the U.S. economy appears to be holding up despite trade tensions and tariffs. On the other hand, inflation remains muted, and expectations are growing that the Fed may cut interest rates in the near future. As we weigh these factors, it's crucial to maintain a balanced view and avoid getting caught up in market hype. It's also important to remember that past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. In conclusion, as investors, it's essential to stay informed and adapt to changing market conditions. Whether you're investing in sustainable aviation or navigating the complexities of the U.S. stock market, it's crucial to approach each opportunity with a critical eye and a well-diversified portfolio. That's all for today's Riskwiser Zone. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, invest with caution.